Hi everyone. So this is the third episode of Japanese exploration around the ancient tradition of Shinto and its potential link with cannabis. So I invite you to watch the previous episode about my journey in Tokyo, which you can find the link below. And now we're gonna talk about after my trip in Tokyo, where I went. So for this episode, I'm gonna explain you the journey that I had through the Nikko Temple. So Nikko is part of the UNESCO World Heritage and the National Treasure of Japan. It's located in the Tokugawa Prefecture. This shrine is dedicated to Tokugawa Ieyasu, who was the first shogun of the Edo period, who ruled from the 17th century, 1600, until the middle of the 19th century when the Meiji period came. So Tokugawa Ieyasu is an important figure in Japanese history, as he's the one that unified samurai clan to bring on 260 years of peace in Japan. So it's a major person, and as I'm in the exploration of Japanese culture and folklore, I found that it was essential to visit this village, which is also interesting because this is in the same prefecture as the hemp museum, which it will be part of our next episode. So I took my train ticket to board on the bullet train, like in the movie with Brad Pitt that came out in 2022. So here I am going to this Nikko Temple in the famous UNESCO World Heritage. So when I arrived there, it was very interesting because of course it's a very touristic place, but it's in the middle of a mountain, where inside of the mountain there is like a huge pass with many shrines there, and including this big shrine dedicated to Tokugawa. And what was very interesting is that it's also the main character of this latest series on Disney Plus called Shogun. So I found it very interesting that it's actually current in our today's entertainment, as we see there was a big series about it. Actually, they made the first season and they're gonna have the second season, I believe, coming out for 2025. So it's gonna be interesting to watch this series. And so I'm getting myself completely immersive in this Japanese culture, where you can see all those big shrines. This is actually the main shrine of Nikko Temple. This is a small book actually that represents the restoration of this temple, with explaining all the different characters and spirits being crafted on the shrine. And one of the shrines that really drew my attention, it's one of the first shrines that was built on the site of Futura-san Jinja. I don't know if I pronounced correctly, so excuse myself for that bad pronunciation. Futura-san Jinja. So this was built in 848 after Christ. It was restored as the current shrine that I saw. It was restored in 1644. And inside of that little shrine, I was astonished to see a huge blade of 260 centimeters, so basically 2.6 meters long, which is huge. This blade was shown to bring good luck and protection to the person seeing this blade and being around it. So first I was very astonished by this huge blade, and in front of it there was this artifact, and this artifact is basically it's linked to the god of mouse. It's like a representation of a mouse, and that mouse or rat said to bring good luck. And next to it there was a little, they call it the Kōnusa, which is a pole with hemp fiber on it, and this is said to have a purpose of exorcist, to remove evil spirits. And by touching the hemp fiber from this artifact, it will bring you good luck and protection. So of course I touched that artifact, and I was very intriguing by the fact that they associate hemp with protection against evil spirits, which kind of remind me the story of the Rastaman that I was talking about as my first inspiration in the first episode, which I invite you to go back to it. So here I am in this Shinto temple, seeing that they are presenting hemp as a protector against evil, and I have the Rastaman, and also it's saying like cannabis healing of the nation, and that kind of start to fit in this overall collective consciousness, which is a bit of the spirituality that you can also see in Shinto, because in Shinto they believe that everything has a spirit, including animal, trees and rocks. And so I continue doing my visit around the shrine, and there was a path also where this path started with a huge blade, a little bit like Excalibur as people will think, but instead of the blade being towards in the rock, so the blade pointing inside of the rock and just the handle is sticking out. In this shrine it was actually the opposite, where the blade is actually sticking out and the handle is inside of the rock. And that blade was a replicate of a much bigger katana blade that you found on top of the mountain that is on the site of Nikko. It's called Mount Nantai. And the blade in that here on the top of the mountain, on the summit, is actually 3.6 meters high, 17 centimeters wide, like this wide, and it weighs about 130 kilo. So it's massive. And again, it's was very intriguing for me, because in the Western culture we have a similar story with the story of King Arthur pulling out the Excalibur out of the rock. But there we see that actually the blade or the Excalibur of Japanese version is actually already outside of the rock, pointing the sky and having symbology of protecting the Japanese culture, and especially this sacred mountain. So it was very bit overwhelming because of all this information and like discovery. I felt like a bit like Indiana Jones, kind of rediscovering or learning about this ancient site. And while I finished my tour around the shrine, I also came up in front of one very specific monument. It's called the Sorinto monument, and this was built in the early 17th century, 1600s. And this is like a pool it's called a finial, so it's like one central pool with 6 other pools, and it was built by a monk who built it to protect Japan from the world of evil spirits, to maintain the peace within the realms. So we can see that this site is very sacred and has a purpose of protecting the Japanese nation according to their local stories and tradition. And that's why I was really amazed to see that this kind of ancient story is still living. There was a lot of people, not just tourists, but a lot of Japanese people are coming to visit the site. So that was actually the first day when I arrived on the site. I did all these visits. This site is also known to be the moment where, from the Shinto tradition, the Buddhist Buddhistic tradition were introduced to Japan. And there you can see the two cultures between Buddhist and Shinto merging together. And so on the next day, I was also interesting to see from my own eyes a Shinto ritual, which is dedicated to the god or the protector of Buddha. It's called the Fudumiyo, who is the main protector of the Buddhas. And there is a lot of dedication to the fire element. So they do this whole ritual where they are burning wooden wishes. So they have like this special wooden wish that you can write down your wishes. And then after you will give it to the priest, and the priest will have his ceremony. And during the ceremony, he will basically bless your wishes and then burn that wooden piece to bring it up to the spirit. So from my understanding, if people are watching me who are expert in Shinto tradition, please comment and give us some more insight, as I came as a first newbie, let's say, discovering this ancient culture. And so that was like very early in the morning, so I was actually the only one at the first ritual ceremony. The first one started at 7:30 in the morning. And after that ceremony, I went back to the shrine, because on the day before there was this shrine that is really on top of all, but I was too late to be able to climb it. So I went back to the site to do this last visit. And it was very interesting because as I arrived early, there was a lot of bus schools example from primary school and to high school of Japanese students coming to actually visit the place. So I could see that it was really part of Japanese culture, and in Japan they keep the tradition and the history of this ancient site, and is basically perpetuating the tradition. So it's still pretty much alive. So it's not like some ancient religion that might be lost. It's fully alive. Priests were practicing, and Japanese people are actually worshipping this space. And from early age, Japanese are being educated to their culture, and that was very interesting because coming from a Westerner point of view and education, where we have lost most of our ancient tradition, then it was interesting to see that in a country like Japan, they still keep their memory alive, and that made me a bit nostalgic because of where I live in Provence, where we have a lot of folklore history, but without any written document. So it's more like oral tradition of my grandparents telling me some stories or some friends, but it's more folkloric, where in Japan, it's not just a folklore, it's actually they are living their spirituality to the fullness, and that was super interesting for me. And so after that visit in Nikko, I had planned another visit to actually discover why there was this connection with those hemp fiber in this shrine bringing good luck. Also around the sword that I was explaining to you, they had where the sword was sticking out around the rock, they had rope or fiber to protect that space, which again to protect it from the evil spirits. So I wanted to find out about that specific symbology between Shinto and cannabis. And so that's why I went to visit this museum in Nazu. It's like 1 hour to Nikko Temple, and that's what we'll be talking about in the next episode. So please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us for the next episode about the hemp museum in Japan.